You had graduated from Francis T. Nichols High School in '63.
'63.
And by '66, you've toured with the Navy, you're married, and you own a bar. And
Well,
reading that, I just thought, man,
okay,
he grew up pretty
I
quick.
went into the Navy. I joined the Navy Reserve when I was a junior in high school. My commitment was 2 years active, 4 years reserve. So after graduation, I went on active duty, and I was stationed aboard an aircraft carrier called the USS Saratoga. And I worked on the flight deck, moving aircraft around. So after the Navy, I got out in kind of late '65. My brother-in-law had a club on Bourbon Street called Papa Joe's. And I worked the jam session there.
That was your brother-in-law, you said?
Yeah, Bobby Blanchard was his name. You know,
Okay.
my sister, they owned that place. And the band was a hell of a band. The band consisted of Freddie Fender on bass, Little Joe Lambert on drums, Joey Long on guitar, and Skip Easterlin on the B3 organ. So I worked there as a bartender, and I made great money. I was making $200 or $300 a night.
Nice.
Got my first apartment, bought a car, you know.
Yeah.
And then after that, I met my wife. I got married in '67, and I had my first club called Co-eds.
Right.
It was uptown. I had an uncle that had an amusement business, and he financed it. I bought it for like $13,000. So I was there from '67 till about '72, and I was anxious to have some other clubs. So it was an empty space a block away. So I built another club called Quasimodo's in 1972. So I had two nightclubs going, and I was doing pretty well with that. But they weren't big clubs; they were small clubs. And so I had this desire, I had ambitions for, you know, a bigger place. And
Sure.
I started seeing a few music clubs opening up, and I wanted to open up a music club because I loved music. So it was an old pool hall on Willow, which later became Jimmy's, and the owner of the place, it was called Al Pellegrini's Pool Hall. He used to stop in Quasimodo's every now and then. And he says, "You ought to buy this, you know, club from me. I'm gonna sell it pretty soon."
Now the co-eds and Quasimodo's, were those basically turnkey?
What do you mean turnkey?
They were in operation and didn't need much to continue to operate.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was turnkey operation. I didn't have to renovate anything, you know.
Right.
It was turnkey. But, you know, they were small, and I was limited to what I can do. I was successful there, but not the kind of success I would have at Jimmy's. Because, you know, capacity might be 100 people at each place. So I was getting anxious. I wanted to move on, and I told myself, where are you going to be in the next 5 years? You know, I was in my late 20s. Do you want to be stuck in a little small club, or do you want to make a move? And so I made the move to Al Pellegrini's Pool Hall. So I bought the pool hall for $12,000, and I signed a long-term lease, reasonable rent, you know. And so I knew I wasn't going to be operator of a pool hall. They only had a bunch of junkies from the methadone clinic used to hang there, and it was in a pool hall. You know, I had ambitions of a music club. So about 2 weeks after that, I closed it down, and I sold my other place, both of them, and I had enough money to just do some of the renovation of the property. It was an old building from like 1915.
Well, I read that was a long, like what, a 2-year renovation
Yeah,
process?
almost that. So we sandblasted the things and everything. So in the meantime, I was living off that money and spending the money to do some of the renovation. That's when I started looking for financing to open Jimmy's. Okay, so I went to the banks. 3 of them turned me down, and then I seeked the Small Business Administration. So I went to them, and they hire a caseworker to put together your portfolio to present to them, you know, for the financing. And I guess maybe it helped that I was a veteran in the Navy and things like that. So I was requesting what it was like about $85,000. Okay, 'cause I was going to have a grill in the club too. I haven't decided on a name yet. One name that stuck with it was calling it the Depot because it was across the street from the streetcar station.
Right.
So, so I went to them and had many meetings with them, and then my caseworker, I still remember his name. His name was Julius Smoke. He called me up and says they declined the loan. So I said, "Oh, look for a job, Jimmy."
Yeah.
So he says, "But what I can do is I could resubmit it at a lower price. Could you do all this work that you'd like to do, you know, to open up at 65,000?" I said, "Yes." So that's when I decided I wasn't going to have a grill. That would have cost, you know, about 20,000 for the grill and
expensive.
everything. So,
Yeah.
what they do is they don't give you $65,000. You have to have contractors that are insured, and they pay the contractors. So I had my electricians lined up, my plumbers, and carpenters and all that to do the work. So we went in there. Matter of fact, I have a lot of photographs. I'd be glad to show you the
Great.
work we did.
Yeah.
You know. So we started the work on the renovation. So after completion, I was able to open on April 8th, 1978. And my first weekend, I had Little Queenie and the Percolators. Second night, I had the Neville Brothers.
Beautiful.
Packed the club.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the following week, I lost my profits from the first week. I had a jazz act
Yeah.
called Sonny Stitt, a famous saxophone player. And the reason why I booked that, because I had some people from Loyola, some teachers from Loyola, and they were in charge of the school band right there. They were up on all the progressive jazz bands, and they talked me into booking that, and it was a big mistake. So I lost the money.
Lesson learned, huh?
A lesson learned. So a lot of the shows that I did back in the beginning was I did door deals because I didn't have money for the guarantees. And another story I like to tell you also is my mother. For me to get the loan, I had to show like $15,000 that I had in the bank. So my mother borrowed $15,000 so I can show the SBA that I had that.
Gotcha.
One other thing, my mother helped me. The day I opened Jimmy's, I didn't have any money. She lent me the money to put in the cash registers for the bank.
Nice. It was that close, huh?
It was that close.
Last winter moon, tell me I'm wrong.